The auction house on Norvex reeked of alien spices and the acrid scent of fear. Tessa stood on the crude metal platform, her single remaining organic arm trembling slightly, while her prosthetic right arm hung motionless at her side. The neural connection had been disabled when the Venturi had captured her ship 3 cycles ago. "Next item for bidding," announced the auctioneer. A tall Venturi with mottled green skin and 6 eyes that blinked independently of one another. Human female, age approximately 28 standard years. Defective, as you can see. Laughter rippled through the crowd of aliens. The auctioneer pointed to her prosthetic arm with a long, bony finger. Half machine, half meat. Captured during the siege of the Terran outpost on Kyler 4. The mechanical appendage is currently deactivated for security purposes. Tessa kept her eyes fixed on the floor, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing her pain. She'd been an engineer on a civilian mining vessel before the war, before the Venturi decided that humans were a plague upon the galaxy that needed to be contained, before her ship had been shot down and she'd been captured. "Starting bid is 50 credits, the auctioneer called. "Surely even a broken human has some value, perhaps as a curiosity for your collection, or manual labor that doesn't require 2 functioning arms." More laughter. Tessa clenched her organic hand into a fist, digging her nails into her palm until she felt pain. Pain was good. Pain meant she was still alive, still fighting. 50 credits, called a voice from the back. 60, shouted another. Tessa risked a glance up. Dozens of alien faces stared back at her with expressions ranging from curiosity to disgust. The Venturi valued physical perfection above all else. Her prosthetic arm made her less than nothing in their eyes. 75 credits, a new voice called, quieter than the others. Different, the crowd parted, revealing a figure standing at the back of the auction house. He was tall, nearly 7 feet, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly in the dim light. A Devarian. Tessa had heard of them, but never seen one in person. They were known as scientists and inventors, rarely venturing beyond their homeworld. "Yarek Val," the auctioneer said, surprise evident in his voice. "An honor to have you at our humble auction. 75 credits is the current bid. Do I hear 80? The room fell silent. The Devarian Yarek stared at Tessa with large, luminous eyes that revealed nothing of his intentions. Going once, the auctioneer called. Going twice, ... 100 credits? Someone called Tessa? Single quotes. Art sank. A burly Krell with tusks protruding from his lower jaw grinned maliciously. Krells were known for using humans as gladiators in their brutal combat arenas. Even with one functioning arm, she would be thrown into the ring to die for their entertainment. 150 Yarek countered immediately. The Krell scowled. 200. 300, Yarek said without hesitation. The crowd murmured in surprise. No one had ever paid so much for a damaged human. 500, the Krell growled, his tusks clicking together in agitation. 1,000 credits, Sharek said quietly. A collective gasp swept through the auction house. The auctioneer's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in succession. 1,000 credits for the defective human, he announced, sounding dumbfounded. Going once, ... going twice. Sold to Yarek Val of Devar. Guards roughly pulled Tessa from the platform and pushed her toward her new owner. She stumbled, nearly falling, but caught herself at the last moment. Pride was all she had left. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her on her knees. Yarek approached, with measured steps. Up close, she could see intricate patterns on his skin that seemed to shift and change with his movements. His eyes were like pools of liquid silver. "Follow me," he said simply, his voice soft, but carrying an unmistakable note of authority. Tessa had no choice. As they walked through the crowded marketplace, aliens parted before them, whispering and pointing, laughed clearly thinking. The Devarian had wasted his money on a broken human. Others simply watched with cold curiosity. "Why?" Tessa finally asked when they reached the edge of the market. "Why pay so much for a defective slave?" Yarek stopped and turned to look at her, his silver eyes unreadable. Defective, he repeated. That is not the word I would use. What word would you use then? She challenged, surprising herself with her boldness. A slight smile curved his thin lips. Interesting, he said. You're interesting, Tessa Reeve. She froze. How do you know my name? I know many things, he replied cryptically, then resumed walking. And soon you will show the galaxy that what they see is broken may in fact be the beginning of something remarkable. Yarick's home was unlike anything Tessa had ever seen, nestled against the side of a mountain far from Norvex's main settlements. The structure seemed to grow organically from the rock itself. What appeared as a modest entrance opened into vast chambers filled with machinery, tools, and devices Tessa couldn't begin to identify. This is your workshop? She asked, unable to hide her amazement. It is my sanctuary, Yorick replied, moving through the space with practiced ease. And now, yours as well. Tessa followed cautiously, eyeing a collection of prosthetic limbs hanging along one wall. Some appeared humanoid, others designed for species she couldn't identify. All looked far more advanced than her own military-grade prosthetic. A prosthetics engineer? Yarick paused beside a workbench. Among other things, I study the integration of biological and mechanical systems across species. He gestured to her disabled arm. May I? Tessa hesitated, then extended her prosthetic limb. Garrick examined it with delicate fingers, his expression one of professional curiosity. Primitive by Devarian standards, but impressive for human technology. The neural interface is quite elegant. He looked up at her. Who designed it? I did, Tessa admitted. Before the war, I specialized in biomechanical engineering. When I lost my arm in an accident, I built this myself. For the first time, she saw genuine surprise on Yorick's face. You created your own prosthetic? Without access to Devarian or Keltorian technology? We humans are resourceful, she said, a hint of pride creeping into her voice. Indeed, Yarick moved to a cabinet and retrieved a small device. This will reactivate the neural connections. It may be uncomfortable at first. When he pressed the device against her shoulder junction, pain flared along her nerve endings. Tessa gasped, but remained standing. Gradually, sensation returned to her prosthetic fingers. She flexed them experimentally, relief washing over her. Thank you, she said, meaning it. Don't thank me yet, Yarick replied, setting the device aside. I didn't purchase you for altruistic reasons, Tessa Reeve. Her guard immediately went back up. Then why? Yarick led her deeper into the workshop, stopping before a massive object covered by a protective shroud. For this, he pulled away the covering to reveal a complex machine, partially disassembled. At its core was a pulsing crystalline structure that emitted a soft blue glow. This is a harmonic resonator, Yarick explained. Or it was, before it was damaged. I've spent 3 years attempting to repair it without success. What does it do? Harmonizes energy fields between incompatible technologies. Yarick's silver eyes fixed on her intently. In theory, it could revolutionize interspecies technology integration. Tessa studied the machine, immediately identifying several design flaws. The power distribution system is unbalanced, and these connection points won't handle the energy throughput. Yarick's expression shifted subtly. It's precisely what I suspected. The Venturi believe humans lack the cognitive capacity for true innovation. They see you as laborers at best, pests at worst. But you don't, Tessa observed. I've studied your species. Your adaptability is remarkable. While we Devarians have been refining the same technologies for millennia, humans create entirely new approaches with limited resources. Yarick gestured to her prosthetic. You built that arm, while other species would have simply accepted their limitations. Tessa approached the resonator, examining its intricate components. You want me to fix this? I want you to improve it, Yarick corrected. In exchange, I offer you freedom and partnership, not servitude. She looked at him skeptically. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't, he replied candidly. Trust must be earned. But consider this. I could have left you to the Krell's fighting pits. Instead, I'm offering you a workshop, materials, and intellectual challenge. Tessa weighed her options. Escape seemed impossible from this remote location, and the machine before her presented an intriguing puzzle. "I'll need proper tools," she said finally. "And unrestricted access to your technical archives." Yarek's face broke into a genuine smile. "Then we have an agreement, Engineer Reeve. Welcome to your new workshop." Weeks passed as Tessa immersed herself in the harmonic resonator project. Yarek had kept his word, providing her with freedom within his sanctuary and access to his vast knowledge archives. She spent hours studying alien technologies, finding unexpected parallels to human engineering principles. The workshop became her world. Yarek proved to be an ideal colleague, brilliant and knowledgeable, yet open to her unconventional approaches. He treated her as an equal, something she hadn't experienced since before the war. "You're attempting to harmonize quantum fields using linear calibrations," Tessa explained one evening, sketching a diagram. "Energy doesn't flow linearly between different species technologies." "What do you propose instead?" Yarek asked, genuinely curious. "A rhythmic approach. Think of it as music rather than mathematics." Her fingers moved confidently across the drafting table. "Different technologies speak different languages, but they all understand rhythm." Yarek studied her designs with growing excitement. "You're suggesting we create a technological symphony." "Exactly." Tessa smiled, energized by his understanding. "We need to stop forcing compatibility and instead create harmony." They're collaborative. Breakthrough came when 3 visitors arrived at the sanctuary. Devarian scientists curious about Yarek's mysterious project. They regarded Tessa with thinly veiled disgust. "You allow this human full access to your workshop?" asked Nelvara, the eldest of the visitors. "Have you forgotten the destruction their kind caused on Pallas Prime?" "Engineer Reeve has insights none of us considered," Yarek replied calmly. "Judge her work, not her species." "Show us, then," challenged Grendor, the youngest visitor. "Demonstrate what this human has contributed." Tessa activated the partially rebuilt resonator. The crystalline core pulsed with energy, but instead of the erratic fluctuations that had previously plagued it, the power flow moved in rhythmic waves. "The principle is simple," she explained, ignoring their skeptical expressions. "We're creating resonance patterns that different technologies can interpret in their own language." "Impossible," Nelvara declared. "Quantistic fields cannot be harmonized through such simplistic means." "Perhaps you should observe before concluding," Yarek suggested. Nodding to Tessa, she connected 2 incompatible devices, a Devarian power cell and a Venturi communication array. Previous attempts to integrate such technologies had resulted in catastrophic failures. Tessa adjusted several controls on the resonator, then activated the system. The crystalline cores pulsing accelerated, emitting tones that shifted and blended. The power cell glowed brightly, and the communication array activated. Displaying a stable connection, silence fell over the room. The visiting Devarians stared in disbelief. "That's not possible," Grandor finally said. "Yet you are witnessing it," Yarek replied, unable to hide his satisfaction. Nelvara approached the resonator cautiously. "How did you achieve this?" "I listened to the machines," Tessa answered simply. "Every technology has its own rhythm, its own song. A resonator doesn't force compatibility. It creates harmony between different technological languages." Human discovered this. The third visitor, Thalara, spoke for the first time. "And the Venturi Council claims humans are intellectually inferior." "The Venturi Council is mistaken about many things," Yarek said firmly. "Engineer Reeve has accomplished in weeks what I couldn't in years." As the visitors departed, visibly shaken by what they'd witnessed, Tessa realized something had fundamentally changed. For the first time since her capture, she'd been seen not as a broken slave, but as an engineer whose ideas commanded respect. "They'll tell others," Yarek said, watching the visitors' transport disappear into the distance. "Word will spread. Is that good or bad?" Tessa asked. Yarek's expression grew serious. "Both. Your achievement challenges the narrative the Venturi have created about humans. Some will find this ... threatening. The warning came at dawn, a urgent transmission from Thalara. The Venturi military is mobilizing. They know about the human engineer and her breakthrough. They're coming, Yarek. Tessa helped Yarek secure the workshop, her mind racing.
What?
They care so much about one machine? It's not the machine, Yarek explained grimly. It's what it represents. The Venturi justified their war against humanity by claiming, "Your species was technologically primitive and dangerously unpredictable. Your resonator improvements disprove their narrative. So they'll destroy the evidence," Tessa concluded, and us with it. They worked frantically to prepare defenses, but both knew the workshop couldn't withstand a military assault. As they worked, Tessa noticed Yarek repeatedly checking a secure communication channel. "You're expecting someone else," she observed. Yarek hesitated, then nodded. "I've sent word to certain sympathetic parties. Whether they'll arrive in time is another matter." By midday, they spotted the first Venturi scout ships on the horizon. Tessa stood at the workshop entrance, watching their approach with a strange calmness. "You should hide," Yarek urged. "There's a concealed chamber beneath the main lab." Tessa shook her head. "I'm done hiding. I'm done being ashamed of what they call my brokenness." She returned to the resonator, making rapid adjustments. Her prosthetic arm moved with fluid precision as she rerouted power systems and modified calibrations. "What are you doing?" Yarek asked, watching her work. "It's converting the harmonic resonator into a disharmonic one." Tessa's eyes gleamed with determination. If it can create technological harmony, it can also create discord. Understanding dawned on Yorek's face. "You're weaponizing it against their ships, not to destroy them," Tessa clarified. "Just to disable their systems temporarily. It should buy us some time." When the first Venturi ships landed outside the workshop, Commander Zilrek emerged with a contingent of armed soldiers. His 6 eyes narrowed at the sight of Tessa standing openly beside Jarek. "Surrender the human and the device," he demanded.
Ow.
"The Devarian Science Council has been informed of your treasonous collaboration with an enemy species."
What?
"She is not an enemy," Yorek replied steadily. "And her work will benefit all species, including the Venturi." "Impossible," Zilrek scoffed. "Humans are incapable of meaningful technological innovation. They are primitive, dangerous, and resourceful," Tessa interrupted, stepping forward. "We're resourceful and adaptive, and we don't give up easily." Shh! Activated the modified resonator. The crystalline core pulsed with dissonant energy, emitting a wave that rippled outward. Immediately, the Venturi weapons flickered and deactivated. Their communication devices sparked. The engines of their ships whined and shut down. Commander Zilrek stared in shock. "What have you done?" "Created technological disharmony," Tessa explained calmly. "Don't worry, it's temporary. It's just long enough for you to listen." The standoff lasted hours. Tessa maintained the disruptive field, while Yarek attempted to reason with the increasingly frustrated Venturi commander. As darkness fell, new lights appeared in the sky, a fleet of ships bearing markings Tessa didn't recognize. "A galactic consortium," Yarek explained, relief evident in his voice. "It's independent worlds that operate outside Venturi influence." Representatives from 7 different species disembarked from the ships summoned by Yark's allies. Among them was Thalara, who had brought evidence of the resonator's potential. "We've reviewed the technical specifications," announced Corvus, a reptilian saurian. "If Engineer Reeves' device functions as documented, it represents a breakthrough that could revolutionize cross-species technology integration." The consortium representatives insisted on a demonstration. Under their watchful eyes, Tessa deactivated the disruptive field and reconfigured the resonator to its original purpose. One by one, she connected devices from different worlds, creating a harmonious technological symphony where previously only discord had existed. "Extraordinary," whispered Lysandra, the Aquarian representative, her translucent fins quivering with excitement. "With this technology, the barriers between our world systems simply ... dissolve." Commander Zilrek watched in silence, his rigid posture gradually softening as the implications became clear. Finally, he stepped forward. "The Venturi High Command must be informed of this development," he stated. "It challenges certain assumptions. It challenges more than assumptions, Yarrick replied. It challenges the very foundation of the war against humanity. The consortium representatives convened privately, then returned with their decision. We propose a formal technology exchange summit, Corvus announced. With Engineer Reeve as the keynote presenter, me. Tessa looked from Yarrick to the assembled aliens in disbelief. You created this breakthrough, Yarrick reminded her. Who better to present it? 3 months later, Tessa stood before representatives from 27 worlds, including a small delegation of humans permitted safe passage through Venturi space. The Grand Chamber fell silent as she activated the improved harmonic resonator, now elegant in its refined design. Technology speaks in many languages, she began, her voice steady. To our own, the result has been incompatibility, inefficiency, and sometimes conflict. The resonator's crystalline core pulsed with rhythmic energy, connecting devices from across the galaxy in perfect harmony. But when we listen, when we recognize that diversity can create symphony rather than cacophony, we discover new possibilities. Tessa flexed her prosthetic hand, now enhanced with Devarian technology. What some call broken or defective might simply be different, with unique contributions to make. She looked directly at the Venturi delegation. I was captured because I was seen as broken, worthless. But that perceived brokenness led to this breakthrough. As the summit progressed, tentative peace talks began between human representatives and the Venturi High Command. The harmonic resonator became the symbol of a new approach, not just to technology, but to interspecies relations. On the final evening, Yarrick found Tessa on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The consortium has offered you citizenship and a research facility of your own, he said. You are free to choose your path forward. Tessa looked at the stars, thinking of Earth and the human colonies scattered across distant systems. What I want is to continue our work. It's not as master and slave, not even as teacher and student, but as true collaborators. Yarrick's silver eyes reflected the starlight. I was hoping you would say that. Together they watched as news of the summit spread across communication networks throughout the galaxy. The story of the human engineer with the prosthetic arm who created harmony where only discord had existed before. They once called you broken, Yarrick observed quietly. Tessa smiled, flexing her prosthetic hand. Sometimes being broken is just the first step toward building something better. Across the galaxy, the perception of humanity began to shift. Not conquerors or primitives, but innovators who turned limitation into opportunity. A species that understood something fundamental that many more advanced civilizations had forgotten. True strength isn't in perfection, but in how we transform our brokenness into something beautiful.